Live. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
And welcome
Hi.
to a very special bi-weekly, bi-week episode. Well, not bi-week. This is a special because it's Halloween episode from the GameView crew. We have lovely called the GameView podcast. Where we dissect a movie that is based on loosely or otherwise a video game.
Expertly dissect
Movie that is loosely based on a video game. And give it a rating with our handy Game Brew rating system, TM. Remember, hey, Chris.
Yeah.
You remember that time that you wrote a movie based off a video game and used almost nothing from that video game in the movie?
That would apply to almost every movie we've watched so far.
Well, I remember it too. I'm Dan Rotz, and I'm joined by whoever, and we're going to talk about...
I'm whoever. Still whoever.
But as we said, this is a gaming and boozing or beveraging podcast. So, Chris, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Liquid Terror, Wicked as Sin, Your Dankest Nightmare, Devilishly Delightful IPA.
Oh my God, that's so many.
It has a lot. It's just got a lot going on.
That's a lot of stuff going on that can. Who's that by? Who's that?
It's by Pariah Brewing.
Brewing.
And I was just looking them up. So they are now located in Baltimore, but before that, they were located in San Diego. So they crossed the country.
Nice.
To make beer in Baltimore for some reason.
That's just a thing. That's just a thing. That's a thing that people do.
It's pretty good, so I'm cool with it.
And yeah, it's
is
it good? Is it a good beer?
Yeah, it's like kind of a standard IPA, not too funky, but like a little funky.
Mm-hmm.
But like crisp. It's nice and crisp, which I like.
Nice. Very good. And it is an IPA. So it's like, like crispy and icy. Everybody loves IPAs. Not everybody, but some people. I was gonna drink some spiked apple cider because it's the fall. But then I went to a Halloween party last night, and I'm tired, so I don't want to drink. I don't want to fall asleep. And if I drink whiskey, it's gonna make me fall asleep. So I'm drinking the beer that I have, which is Victory Brewing's Easy Ringer Session IPA. It's just a easy drinking.
It's a good one. It's an easy one.
It's a good one. It's an easy one. It's a nice one. It's a delicious IPA. I'm going to drink that.
All right. You enjoy that. Yeah, I haven't bought beer for a while because you know how when you have a party, everyone leaves their beer at your house?
Is that what happened? Yeah,
which is cool. I like that, but also...
you just have so many.
Some people have bad taste in beer.
Well, listen, a lot of people have bad. It's October. You know what? There's a lot of right now pumpkin beer. You know what's disgusting? Pumpkin beer.
You know what's delicious though?
Oktoberfest beers, not pumpkin beer. Those are two different things. And if someone tries to,
I've had like an occasional good one, but that's pretty rare.
Yeah, I remember like everyone used to make the big deal about pumpkin, but even that is like not been as good.
Yeah.
As of late. So
maybe we're just growing older.
Maybe we are growing. Well, we are growing older. I definitely know that.
Every day.
Every damn day. We're growing older.
But speaking of growing older, what have you been occupying your time with in the video game?
In video game stuff. Well, for the last week or so, I've been playing Modern Warfare 2. Because
more like Modern Warfare Boo.
That's very funny because it's spooky season. No, Hannah and I played a little bit more of Mortuary Assistant, which is still spooky, still scary. Really terrifying. Lots of nope moments, just where you're like, nope. And then Modern Warfare 2 came out. So the campaign came out first, and I played and beat that. Very good. I mean, Infinity Ward, they know how to make a Call of Duty campaign because it's not just a bunch of the same stuff. Like they make the missions varied in like what you're doing during it. Like you have your classic, like, okay, it's like, we got to infiltrate, shoot 'em up kind of first person shooter levels. Right. Mm-hmm. And then you have,
it is a first person shooter. Yes.
Right. And then you have, classic, you have like the sniper levels. And then they also have one, there's like, a couple of my favorite ones there was one that's called Alone, where you basically start the mission with nothing, and then you're kind of sneaking around grabbing things through the level to like it's kind of like a crafting game. You have to like find different parts to craft, like pry tools to open up stuff, open up locked doors, and like find bottles to distract enemies because you don't have a weapon. You're just trying to like get through an area, which is very cool. And then there was also one where you were in a security camera. Like you were just watching security cameras and telling one of the other guys like where to go to avoid like the bad guys, and also like how to take them out and like distract things. So it's cool. And the story was like, Modern Warfare did it, and like the new Modern Warfare did it, and Modern Warfare 2 did. It really reads like a like a military thriller,
like a Tom Clancy kind of.
Yeah, like it's a Tom Clancy novel. So it's like it's really like you kind of know the characters, and like who's in there, like characters from the first game who were like big set pieces in the first game were there as like secondary characters in it too. So it was good. It's a good campaign. And then multiplayer came out, so been doing that.
Yeah,
and Call of Duty.
Is it anything to say about the multiplayer?
I mean, the multiplayer is good. Like it's the TTK, time to kill, is pretty fast, which is good. That's kind of what I like from it. It's not like not like I have to sit there forever and like hold down the button and then keep it on them until people go down. It's just like, okay, it's like a military shooter. And yeah, the gun system is pretty. I mean, it feels good. Like whenever the sound design in it is really good, So it's like it and it looks really nice. So it is really pretty well put together. So no complaints so far. It does keep crashing on me, but it also came out a week or so ago. And that's like just a thing that happens with games now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It's just like, hey, you know how there's going to be like a week where sometimes it just randomly crashes for no reason. But yeah, that's cool. That. What about you, Chris? What's going on with you?
Well, I have been playing Transport Fever 2.
What the hell?
Did I talk about this last week? No?
Transport Fever? No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Transport Fever 2 is basically...
Oh, no. I'm looking at it.
Train Tycoon.
It's Train Tycoon, yep.
And it's pretty fun for me right now.
Oh, my goodness gracious. This is amazing.
Last time I kind of talked about, I think I did, that I went to like a train show with my dad and kind of resparked
you were saying
whole
that
thing.
You really love trains.
Yep, love trains. So then I got Transport Fever 2, and it's like City Skylines, but more focused on transport and that sort of thing, and like kind of getting supplies to where they need to go at a macro level. And then like if you supply a town with the two things they need or whatever, then it will start growing more. And like if you connect them via if you connect like passenger transports, they'll start expanding more, and like you eventually get to the point where you have planes, and then you also have to do like tram systems or bus systems within the towns.
Oh my gosh.
It's
that sounds like it would give me anxiety, but it sounds like one of the things that you enjoy very much.
Yeah, it also kind of has the similar feel of like Satisfactory.
Okay, yeah.
Where you kind of have to hook up.
Yeah, you connect lines together and make sure things are moving to the right places. Yeah, right. My nightmare. That's what that is having to do that all day. So more power to you, man.
Yeah, and it's cool because you can choose whether to be in like use the US stuff like equipment or like European equipment.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of fun too.
That's very neat.
Yeah,
me like that. I like
so that's been occupying me.
All American trains.
It's super cool.
I'm just looking at screenshots. I was like, it's just like large zoomed out pictures of cities and then just trains like going through Western
it's like a pretty intense thing, like, and it looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty. I'm looking at it. I'm like, this is gorgeous. I just want to look at it. I don't want to play it. I'll look at it though.
Yeah.
This is definitely a great game if you like trains and you like controlling where supplies go and how they get there.
Yeah. It's and it took me like a couple times to kind of figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because at first I was like, I
You
don't
were
know,
afraid?
it took me. Well, I was petrified.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just took me a little while to like understand how things work because I did like the first level and I was like, okay, I think I get this, and then I tried like a custom, like basic random map, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't get this, and then I kind of was figuring it out over time.
Oh, okay.
Eventually got it, but
Yeah, it seems like it's a trial and error sort of game. But very
yeah.
neat, very neat. Anything else that you have been doing there?
I started playing a little bit of Deathloop.
I did too.
What do you think?
I think it's good. It's neat. It's cool. It's funny. I like the dialogue. I really like
Mm-hmm.
the voice acting in it. It's
I
done
like
very
that too.
well.
Yeah.
The gameplay, you can tell it's the people who made Dishonored.
Oh yeah,
Like you just
for
can
sure.
immediately. You're just like, this is Dishonored with a slightly different skin. Um, but it's good. I like it. It's kind of an interesting. It's not my favorite type of game because there's a lot of the games that are, either stealth or go all out.
Right. I
And
for me, like, I mean, I've only done like the first two areas.
mm-hmm.
Um, it was pretty easy from what, or maybe I just haven't gotten far enough. Like, haven't
I
died
think.
yet, and I know that's kind of like a core part of the game.
Well, it's
Like
not.
outside of the times when you're
Yeah,
like
it's.
really
I mean,
dying.
kind of. There's like, I think it's easy, but there's also like puzzle elements to it, like of how to do things. Like I do remember I got to one place, and I was like, oh, there's like a. I
Yeah.
had to like I feel like found a thing, and I was like, oh, I could bring this thing to a different place to open up another area, and then as soon as I picked it up, it like set off an alarm, and then more bad
Oh.
guys showed up, and I was like, oh no. So then I was like, okay, I know what to do the next loop, like I know what to watch out for whenever I do that.
Hmm.
So it's like, so I think it's more about, it's like trial and error as time goes on, since you have the different like morning, like
Yeah. Yeah. I know that there's
afternoon,
like different
night.
things that
Yeah.
happen at different times and stuff.
So you kind of have
But
to like think about that whenever you're doing it.
yeah. But I mean, overall, it's pretty cool so
Yeah, it's
far.
pretty neat. It's pretty, but again, the voice acting is great. Like it's just
Yes.
like the interactions between the two main characters in it are just hilarious, and also there's nothing I love more than a reluctant hero. A reluctant hero or a unknowing hero. Like, and the fact that you start and you have no idea what's going on is like the best
Yeah.
because you're just trying to figure out what the hell's happening.
Yeah.
and
Well, and it's because that then the character that you're playing is kind of part of the ride, like for the ride, and like is in the same spot as you are.
yeah, so you're just like, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, oh, this is what's happening.
Right.
So you get looped in,
Hat.
pun intended, at exactly the same time that the character is, which is very neat. So we'll keep playing that. There's a multiplayer component to it that I'm not exactly sure how it works. I think it's like there's like one of you is the guy and one of you is the girl,
Mm-hmm.
and like so one of you is trying to kill the other one, and the other one's trying to break the loop.
Right.
So I'm not sure exactly how that works because it wasn't unlocked yet. Whenever you have to play through like the campaign, I think for a little bit first, but
Gotcha.
I think pretty neat.
Cool. Yeah.
Anything else?
I
I think that's it. Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah, spooky season.
Tomorrow's gonna be Halloween. Me and Hannah were vampires yesterday. I was a
Kind of
danpire.
vampires.
I was a danpire and she was a handpire. We were basically just ourselves if we were vampires. But like, we wore darker colors because whenever you become a vampire, you immediately just become a little emo. So
Emo or goth?
but a little both, a little bit of
Yeah.
both. But I did. I was kind of like, I kind of like looked a little bit more like the originals like vampire or like
Mm-hmm.
what's the one with Sookie? Vampire Diaries? Is that what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of felt like I looked a little bit like that because it was
Okay.
just I just got blood all over myself. Fake blood.
Yeah.
Fake
I
blood.
didn't know. I didn't know if you were going for like what they do in the shadows.
We were initially going to do that, but then we were just like, nah, it's too much work.
But it's
Be
so
We
cool.
wanted to be lazier. No, we wanted to be so. It would be cool, but also I just went around saying that Christopher, you are the most devious bastard in New York City.
Oh man,
Man, I
he's so great.
freaking love that show.
Matt
It's great.
Berry.
I can't wait
Good
for
old
it.
Matt Berry.
Matt Berry is the best. But you know what else is the best? The Resident Evil game series. And you know
You,
what?
you know it's not quite the best.
Not quite the best.
Resident Evil movie
Well,
series.
maybe we'll find out because guess
That's
what?
true.
That's the movie that we watched this time, and hopefully you were able to watch it as well. In the meantime, for this episode of the GameView podcast, we watched Resident Evil from 2002.
It was a very 2002 movie.
It's a very 2002 movie directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. You may know Paul W.S. Anderson as the person who directed all of the Resident Evil movies. Event Horizon, Mortal Kombat, the original.
Not he didn't direct all of them, but I think
No,
he produced
I'm sorry. He wrote a lot of the Resident Evil movies. He
and produced a lot
directed
of
Event Horizon and Mortal Kombat.
and that terrible yet kind of entertaining Three Musketeers movie from 11 years ago.
He was a producer on that one.
Nope, he directed it.
Hold on. I don't see that on his directing.
It's
Oh
on
wait, no, I do.
Wikipedia.
I do see it. It's the 2011 one that had what's his face, Logan Lerman in it. Logan Lerman, you might remember from The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Fury, and Indignation.
I did like the other three people they had in that: Matthew McFadden, Ray Stevenson, and Luke Evans.
Ray Stevenson is great.
I like Ray Stevenson.
I feel like he's been in things that I liked. Oh, he was in the Vampire's Assistant movies.
He
Remember
was
that?
Punisher once.
He was Punisher one time. That's great. But anyway, we're not talking about the Three Musketeers. We're talking about
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. Notable stars in this movie, you would know Mia Jovovich as the not title character, but the main character. Michelle Rodriguez is in it.
Yeah.
Ryan.
What else has he been in?
Michelle Rodriguez has been in everything.
Oh, in the Fast and the Furious.
You know her as Letty
Avatar.
from Fast and the Furious. She has been in like every action movie ever.
Uh-huh. She was in the Alita Battle Angel, which was kind of interesting.
Oh, she was? Oh, that's pretty cool.
In Avatar.
She was a voice in Halo 2. She was one of the Marines.
Nice.
No, she's been in like it's so hard for me to say like what she's been in because I feel like she's been in everything.
She just kind of pops up and stuff.
Yeah, but she's great because she's a character actor, and character actors get a lot of work because they are good at being characters, you know. And her character is badass.
She is pretty cool.
Lady, badass butt kicking lady. And that's I think that's the first thing I said when I saw it in this movie is that we watched it and I was like, oh, Michelle Rodriguez is in this movie. And I had forgotten that. And also that guy has zero personality. You can guess who I'm talking about probably. But you'll be able to tell. I'll tell you. I'll let you get there. So here's the plot. So we all love video games. We know what Resident Evil is about. There's people who are going to investigate a thing that's happening. They get trapped in a mansion, and then they have to escape.
And there's usually some dead.
Yeah, there's zombies. Yeah,
something.
So I feel like whenever Paul W.S. Anderson made this movie, he didn't watch. He had no idea what the video games are about.
Someone had literally just told him that.
I was like,
and he was like, "Cool, I got it."
here's the bullet points, and then he was like, "Okay, got it." So here's the plot. Resident Evil starts with Mia Jovovich waking up in a mansion. So
Doesn't know who she is. Don't remember how she got there.
She sees a note on the thing that says like, "Hey, today's the best day of your life" or whatever. She tries to write, sees. Oh, actually, no, it doesn't start with that. It starts with people working in an office.
Yeah.
And then you see like a vial break, and then gas comes out of the things. Basically, the T virus gets released, and then the building gets locked down, and then and the dog scared Sebastian, because they were borking a lot.
They were borking a lot.
They were borking so much.
They were scary borkers too.
Scary
even
borkers.
Before. Anyways.
But anyway, and then everybody dies basically, and then we get.
Everyone gets T-virused. We don't know if they died.
We don't know. Well, we know they died. We don't know if there's the girl in the elevator who got like her head lopped off by the elevator.
Ooh, that was that was a fun little fake out they did there.
Yeah, and the first time it's like it goes down, you're like, oh, she'll be okay, and then they're like,
and she it stops right before her head does it. And then she's like, pull me back, and then it goes
back, and then it goes up, and then whoop, no more head. Sorry, Miss Black. Yeah, all those people in the beginning are called Mr. Gray, Mr. Red, Miss Black, Dr. Green, Dr. Blue, Dr. Brown.
It's very it's very like Clue.
They didn't give them names. It was just like, oh, you're all gonna die, so what's the point? But so basically this stuff goes off. Mia Jovovich wakes up in this mansion. A bunch of a guy breaks in. He says he's a cop. A bunch of military people break in.
Also, he's not a cop.
He's not a cop. But but a bunch of military people break in. They're just like, oh yeah, you're supposed to be security. But there was like also like the dumbest security thing ever. Oh, it's a safety measure. It makes you forget everything in case there's something goes wrong. It's like,
and why would they do that to the people that are supposed to be defending, like that are the security to the entrance of this place?
Well, because they're dumb. Everything is stupid. Basically this movie is a study in what stupid people would do if they were in charge of trying to stop a virus from getting
right,
or people getting into their place. But then they go down. They have to shut down this weird AI thing named Alice that is a child for some reason. And then zombies. And then from then on, it's a zombie movie.
Is the AI named Alice also?
No, wait. It's the Red Queen. I'm sorry. The AI is named the Red Queen.
Mila Jovovich is Alice.
But yeah. And then it just becomes a standard like, oh, zombies, get out. We have to get out of here. And then they make all the terrible decisions that people... I mean...
The laser scene...
it was a good way to kill off most of your cast right off the bat. But also, like, it's just like, oh my God. It's like we have a CGI budget and we need to use it on something. So...
Here it is.
So there's a scene, just to describe it to you. So there's a scene whenever they're going, because they have to turn off the power because they need to take this AI with them. And like all the data from this facility, since something went wrong, everybody's dead or gone. So they have to go in, get the data, leave.
The AI is trying to prevent that from happening, and has this hallway of death that has lasers that like pass by, and like eventually like it's just like one laser, and then at the end it's just like all the lasers.
It's just a bunch of lasers. It basically it turns Colin Salmon into a like I don't know, like a diced version of himself.
Yeah, like if you've ever like you know those vegetable slicer thingies that you can like kind of use to like make it just slice everything all at once?
Oh, it's like, or like, yeah, it's an apple, like an apple corer.
Or yeah, like that.
Yeah.
It was basically he got apple cord.
He got apple cord so hard. Also, you would recognize Colin Salmon if you saw him.
He's been in stuff.
He's been in stuff. I always remember him as he was in.
In Die Another Day.
He was in Die Another Day as what was he?
MI6 deputy. Oh, he was in Tomorrow Never Dies and World Is Not Enough too. Yeah, he was the MI6 deputy chief of staff.
Right. Yeah. What's his name though?
Charles Robinson.
Charles Robinson. I was like, I remember him because he was in all three of those, and he was a pretty solid character in all those.
Yeah. No, I always kind of liked. Thought he was pretty.
But cool. I like him. He's a great actor. Yeah. Again, like this movie is full of really good character actors, and they do a good job, I think.
Yeah, like what they're given. Yeah,
except for one guy, everybody really does a good job of doing like the best they can do.
James Purefoy?
No, it's not James Purefoy.
I was gonna say actually. I kind of like James Purefoy.
No, I like James Purefoy. I like James Purefoy in most of the stuff that he does. No, it was Eric Mabius, the guy who played Matt. the
totally not a cop guy.
Yeah, and he
was born in Harrisburg, apparently.
He was born in Harrisburg. But Hannah and I were watching this, and she was just like, I don't like that guy. He doesn't look real. Like, he doesn't look like a real person in it. Like, he looks like someone took, like, the amalgamation of, like, this is what white men are supposed to look like, and they just put it on the screen. And, like, that's who the character of Matt was. No offense, Eric. Eric Mabius, I'm sure you're great. He was in The Crow. Salvation. No, he was in the second one, so that's a sorry. The first one.
Yeah, he really hasn't done much.
He hasn't done a whole lot of stuff. Welcome to the Dollhouse, whatever that is. What's he best known for? Please don't tell me. Oh, it's Resident Evil. Great.
Yeah.
But let's go. So basically, in the beginning, Alice, Mia Jovovich, wakes up, and Matt breaks into her apartment. And of course, it's 2002. So what do we get? Boobs. And nudity. Just right off the bat, just for no reason. Not necessary, but it's 2002.
I'll get back to that, too. There's something at the end that I was... Anyways.
And like...
That?
What?
Oh, yeah. So at the end of this movie...
go ahead.
Sorry to... At the end of this movie... Alice, Mila Jovovich, is like sedated basically and wakes up, and she has like the most ridiculous like hospital attire on.
It's like, why wouldn't you just use a hospital
piece of paper on front and a piece of paper in back, and then like three things tying it together?
It's like
just use a hospital gown.
Just use a hospital gown. Like, I'm sure that you can get the tubes in with the hospital gown too, but I don't know. The Umbrella Corporation.
But what's also, and like the red dress the entire time. That was like your choice of clothes.
I mean, you feel like, and again, it's this whole thing of like, they're supposed to be the security team that's at the top, and he lays out. Well, I guess the whole point was that, what's his face?
Spence Parks, James Purefoy.
James Purefoy. Yeah, he played Spence, right?
Yes.
James Purefoy.
I almost thought it was Thomas Jane for a hot second, but
James Purefoy left it out for her because he was just like, "Oh, hey, I'm gonna get all of this. We're gonna be rich, live forever." Because basically, the whole. Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to Spence in a minute, but but he's there too. Basically, he can't remember anything. Alice can't remember anything. There's this cop guy, and then all of your generic commandos, and they have to go in. Of course, they do all of the explanation of why they're there. The Umbrella Corporation exists. They create. They like do pharmaceuticals. They do like bioweapons, healthcare products, all that kind of stuff. And as they're going down, they get there. They have the laser scene, which is an action sequence. They dodge a bunch of lasers, except for until Colin Salmon gets diced into little bits. And yeah, and then they get in the Red Queen, which is a creepy little girl, which
Of
is
course.
why not standard,
That's pretty standard Resident Evil.
There's always a creepy little girl, but it's why is it an AI? Like it could have just been nothing. Like it could have just been like a creepy voice, but instead there's like a again
high tech 2002
CGI budget. Oh god, and then we'll talk about it in a minute. But and then they get the stuff. Once all the power turns off, that's when all the zombies appear, and then it's like, oh no, zombies. And of course
they're like, oh no, don't shoot them. They're people, and someone else is eventually. I think it was Michelle Rodriguez's character. She's basically like, no, they're zombies. Kill them.
she's like fuck. I think she just says fuck that, and then she just starts shooting. But of course, it's like I always am wilded out at the fact that, like, in modern things, whenever there are zombies, people don't automatically think shoot them in the head. You know, it's just like they spend a good 20-minute fight scene, because when the zombies first show up, it's like a 20-minute scene of them like shooting and blowing these zombies backwards and like trying to like and then like getting back up and doing it. There is the one really cool special effects thing that was in there is whenever Matt was being assaulted by a zombie, the zombies catches on fire and is still coming at him and he's kicking it back. You could see that's like a real stunt performer in like a fully flame retardant suit actually like crawling towards him. And that's a really long time that he was doing that in. I hope he was okay after that because that was very impressive. And then they do that and then they're like, and then the Red Queen comes and is like, the only way to kill them is to shoot them through the head. It's like, oh, duh, zombies.
Of course,
zombies.
Eventually, they shut down the Red Queen.
They do. They shut her down, and then one of the guys dies, and then somebody else gets bit. People get bit by zombies, and they're like, oh yeah, you can get turned into a zombie by being bit by zombies. Blah blah blah.
And I think it's at that point that they realize that they need the Red Queen to get back out.
Right. So they have to go back, put the Red Queen in.
Or was that before or after we found out that Spence Parks... That
was before you found out that Spence was a bad guy. Because you find out eventually that Spence is he released the T-virus on purpose because...
And didn't get out in time before things shut down, basically.
Right. And he was going to take Alice with him because he thought that's what she wanted, but when she really wanted was to shut down the like Umbrella. She wanted to take down Umbrella because they were doing bad, and so did
Lisa. Lisa, who was Chad Kaplan's Chad.
Chad Kaplan?
No, not
Eric.
Chad.
Eric Mabius. Matt.
Eric Mabius.
Yeah.
Matt. Yes.
It was his sister.
Yes. And.
But she was in the beginning as like one of the people who kind of led us into the story. There is one of the things that's really I thought was like Paul W. Sanderson. This was a pretty good like foreshadowing thing, which is the beginning. There's like a guy who's like carrying coffee, and someone runs into him and he spills it all over himself. He's just like, "Hey, watch it, man!" He's like, "Oh," and then he gets in the elevator, and then everything starts to go to hell, right?
Right.
And then later you find out that the person rushing that spilled the coffee was Spence trying to get to the elevator to get to the top. So it's like, oh, it's all cyclical. That's amazing.
Yeah. I like things like that. Like
it's good.
Details like that.
It's a good like plot framing, and it like makes you recall things from the beginning of the movie too. So you're not just kind of like just sitting there kind of mouth breathing over it. But Spence is the bad guy. He wanted to get he wanted to sell the T-virus for money. And then he also had all the antidote. And then he ends up like regaining his memories, stealing all of the stuff, and then trying to escape. And then he gets killed by a licker.
Yep.
Which then...
Are lickers in games?
They're in Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's Resident Evil 1. Somebody will have to tell me that either now. I don't know. Ragnar's usually good at telling me whenever I'm wrong about stuff. But yeah, I mean, you could tell it's 2002 when you look at the CGI. There were a few things that they did. One, the liquor is not the most believable CGI that's ever been there. It's very 2002. You could tell it's made of computers.
Yeah.
And it's not the most scary, but it's pretty cool. Also, there was a couple times whenever you could see there was like some zombies that they did CGI onto their faces instead of doing makeup for it, which was a little weird just because it didn't really
I think I was reading somewhere. So I did like the dogs. I thought the dogs were actually pretty good.
The dogs were good.
And that's like a very Resident Evil thing.
Yeah, is the zombie
I feel like
dogs.
that was the most Resident Evil thing there.
I think so too. I think that was, yeah. And I think that's why it's like it continued to be like in the trailer. I remember there being like the dog stuff. And that was very creepy.
And I was reading about those, and apparently the dogs would just like
they kept licking off.
They kept licking the makeup off themselves.
So they had to do all that stuff real fast, or like make sure it was like CGI or rubber dogs. There was one point where she like does a jump in the air and kicks a dog through a window.
That was a sick jump and like kick.
Because that's when she starts to regain. She's like, "Oh, I know kung fu.
How did I do that? I didn't know I could do that.
I know kung fu." But when she does that, but you could tell it's like a rubber dog, and like it's very obviously a rubber dog, which I'm grateful for. But it's also like it's just like okay, it's very much a rubber dog, and also she like empties a clip and kills all these dogs that are jumping at her, and she does it so slowly that she would have been dead so fast. Like she like there's like 6 dogs that are all standing there, and she's just like bang. They all at once run to attack her, and then she goes bang, 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 bang.
That's how Resident Evil is.
I mean, technically, but you also have to spend like 3 minutes like trying to turn the right direction because it's tank controls, so it's hard.
Well, back then it was,
yeah. So it's hard to be like, I don't know how I'm facing the right way. But yeah, and you find out. So Matt was down there because his sister didn't think it was his sister at first, but his sister Lisa was there trying to take down the Umbrella Corporation. So he was there to save her. She's dead. Sorry, Matt. And then he becomes, I guess, our love interest, but you don't really need one, but I guess they had to have one. So Alice latches on to him pretty
cool
abruptly. So also fun.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the gist is Michelle Rodriguez gets bit, and that's a shame, and they're worried about that. And then there's like a whole thing with the antidote, and we think it doesn't work, and then I think it does, or it does, and then
it does, and then it doesn't.
Yeah, one of those. So then that happens, and then they kill the liquor on the train, so they had to take a train from...
Not before it kills the resident tech guy, Kaplan, who did a really bad job at saving all of his friends. Except for one time. He did save his friends the one time when they were stuck in the thing, because you thought he was dead, and then he came back. Like classic. Like it's like, oh, leave the character for dead. They're gone. We're not going to see them again. And then, oops, surprise, they made it out and they're back, and then they saved the day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's...
But then, Spence dies because he gets eaten by the liquor. And then at the very end of the movie, they make it out. And then, oh, guess what? Umbrella shows up. And then they capture her. And they capture Matt, who is starting to transform into something because he got scratched by the liquor that had been transformed.
Do you know if it's him throughout all of them?
So I know... because I've seen most of these, is that technically he becomes, in the movie version, he becomes Nemesis,
right? In
the next movie.
But so does Eric Mabius portray Nemesis?
I don't think so. I think it's just that guy. Gotcha. Hold on. Let's find out. Eric Mabius. He was in 2002. Resident Evil. He was in the OC as Dean Jack Hess. No.
Nope.
Nope. He doesn't. But that makes sense. That makes sense to me because why cast an actor when you could just have a stunt guy in makeup, you know?
Yep.
Easier.
Way easier. But yeah, we get into that Nemesis stuff later.
Yeah. Here's the thoughts on the plot of this movie. I think as far as a 2002 action movie goes, it was pretty on the line.
Yeah.
With like everything else. It didn't break the mold by any means.
It was very cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Like this didn't, but like this also didn't have to be a Resident Evil movie.
See, that's what I was like. It's like this could have not been a Resident Evil movie, and I would have liked it more if it was just like
it was just a zombie flick.
Like a viral zombie movie. I would have been like, great. I think this is a great movie for the time that it came out. But instead, they tried to.
They were like, "Oh, this game series is popular. Let's slap that on there." And like, I wonder almost if that's what happened, because it doesn't. I mean, like we said earlier, I think the zombie dogs were the most Resident Evil part of it.
I think it's just so not Resident Evil, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like it was too actiony. Resident Evil games, and it's changed over the years. The original Resident Evil games weren't like, oh, shooty, you know, action. It was like a puzzle game with horror elements, you know?
Right.
It was the first survival horror game.
I think around Resident Evil 4 is when it started shifting a little bit.
Right? Say that one more time. Sorry.
Resident Evil 4 was like the one where it kind of started shifting.
Yeah, that's whenever it was like, oh, now it's a more of a like third-person shooter.
Which that game is incredible.
It is. It really is. They're doing a remaster version of it apparently right now. So
and like I loved the most recent one.
Oh, 8 Village.
Yes.
Yeah, Village is great. I think there's DLC for it now. I think there's DLC that came out, and also Reverse came out, but I don't think that hasn't been reviewed particularly well. A lot of their
what is Reverse?
I don't know. It's like I think it's like a one of your least favorite type of games where it's like one person is the bad guy and then there's like a bunch of other good guys. And
I do hate that.
Yeah. Oh no. David Boreanaz was originally supposed to play Matt, but turned it down to work on his TV series Angel. I would have loved that so much more.
Yeah, and yeah, for everyone listening, there was a ton of different scripts for this movie before.
Oh yeah.
This one was chosen
for
whatever reason.
Yeah, Paul W. Anderson changed this one a lot. In fact, I think there's the character JD in there who's kind of like you have your like two main military people who survive the Apple Core attack. JD and Rain. And Rain is Michelle Rodriguez's character. And apparently Mia Jovovich didn't like that originally. Michelle Rodriguez's character was supposed to die in like earlier in the movie. Instead, she kind of was just like, no, we don't like that. I don't like that version, you know, because then it's just me and a bunch of dudes hanging around. So
good for her.
Yeah. And then he kept changing the ending over and over again, which is why it seemed very silly. Like everything in this movie seems very like people make silly decisions and like just don't know what they're doing.
To be fair, that's like a trope in
zombie movies
or just horror movies in general.
I guess, yeah.
But I don't know.
There's a lot of there's a lot of things.
I guess for me, I'm just surprised. So, like, I think at the time it was pretty well received.
I think so too. I think because it was kind of like, but we didn't have like the discerning sort of knowledge that, oh, video game movies can be more than just like action movies, you know?
Yeah. And like, it's kind of incredible how many movies came from this. Like,
they're still coming from this, right?
I know. There's Welcome to Raccoon City just came out.
Yep.
Relatively recently.
Oh my god.
It didn't have Mila Jovovich, but like,
yeah.
I will say though, the soundtrack was pretty cool.
The soundtrack was very cool.
There was one moment though that was, I can't remember what Alice was doing. She might have been reloading, but like there was like a super intense like music section where she was doing something like not cool,
like very mundane. I think I remember what you're talking about.
And like I thought it was ridiculous. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Was it during the dog fight? Is it when
it might have been?
Was it when she was reaching for the guy's gun? No.
I can't remember.
But it also took her so long to she was just like, oh, I don't want him to turn into a zombie, so I'm going to do this very slowly and take this zombie guy's gun away. But the man, James Purefoy was in this though. I do love James Purefoy. Wasn't he?
He's been some great. He was.
Wasn't he the Punisher in something?
No, that's Thomas Jane.
That's Thomas Jane. That's right. They do look very. They
do look very similar, especially at that time period. No, he was in. Rome. He was. What's his name?
He was Mark Antony.
Yeah, Mark Antony. He was in A Knight's Tale as Edward the Black Prince. He was actually originally V for Vendetta, but then stopped and left 6 weeks into filming.
Oh,
and
shit,
then Hugo
really?
Weaving came in. He was in that kind of cheesy movie Ironclad, which they were like defending a castle. It was kind of cool. I enjoyed it.
I don't think I've seen that one, but
I don't know. I like him.
I like him a lot. Cool. Did you know that A Knight's Tale is considered a perfect script?
Is it?
It's everything, like the characters, the jokes, the setting, the timing of everything, like from beginning to end, all the different turns that all the characters go through. It's considered like it happens exactly as it's supposed to. Like everything is just like if it had gone any further or it was any shorter, it would have been bad. But like every single character arc, every single thing about that movie is technically perfect. So that's cool. It's a great movie. I love A Knight's Tale. If you have not seen, which he had done 1 year, which James Purefoy had done 1 year prior. So if you have not seen A Knight's Tale, watch it.
Go watch it.
Go watch it.
He was also in Altered Carbon as Bancroft.
He was. I do remember that. I love Altered Carbon. If you haven't watched that first season of that
first season, don't worry about the second one.
The second one's fine. I think the second one's fine. It
I just didn't like the actor. I just didn't like the actor for
what's his face?
Kovacs,
Takeshi Kovacs.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? It was.
It's Falcon.
The Falcon. I thought he was fine. I just think
just didn't like him as much as the first guy. He was great.
I think the second season suffered a little bit from like sequel syndrome, where it's like I know it's like there are more books in that series, but it's like there's a lot. The
first season was just so good.
It really was. Like it had the right sort of stuff in there. But let's go back to Resident Evil and let's talk about some of these other actors that we have. And I said it before. I think the actors for this movie, aside from the one line, I mean, no, she still delivered it. There's the one line that Michelle Rodriguez has where after she gets bit a whole bunch and they're like helping her out of like walk down the hall, she's like, when we get out of this, I'm gonna get laid.
Yes.
And it's like, why would you say that in this time? Like that is such an odd.
Good for you, I guess.
That's just such an odd line delivery to have.
Yeah.
But I really do think everyone did a really good job of acting their parts. I think that Matt was a fine, but again, he just kind of looked like
He was kind of, yeah, he was pretty meh.
An amalgamation of white men. Um, but any notable like how did you feel about everybody, Chris? Was there anyone that you liked the most or disliked the most?
I mean, I've always liked Colin Salmon. I've always liked James
Mm-hmm.
Purefoy, and Mila Jovovich. Mila Jovovich is Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
I don't have as much of an affinity for Michelle Rodriguez, I think, as you do, because I'm not as big into the Fast movies.
I love the Fast universe. Still my favorite cinematic universe.
I know you do.
It's so dumb. But
but I mean it's the movie is like, it's a very 2002 movie. It's like it suffers from, I think, all the same things that we've seen from all of these other movies, and that
it turns...
none of these movies are like have been actual good video game movies, and that's kind of been the point of all this, is that like we're watching bad movies, but like
I think the biggest thing, here's my biggest problem with all of these movies, is they always turn it into an action movie, which this is like Resident Evil. It's not an action title. Like, you shouldn't make it an action.
It should be a horror movie.
It should be a survival horror movie. Even if you do have people who are trained like military people, it's like it should still be scary. And it wasn't really scary. Like, they made it so it was horror-y. It was horror adjacent, but it wasn't scary.
Right.
And yeah. I think that's really what it needed to be. It was too bright. That's it. It was too bright. Every scene, I could see everything that was going on. And it was just, you could see it all. And you could see all the zombies. You could see all the things that were happening. You could see people getting through places. It wasn't dark and scary. And that's what it needed to be.
Yeah, you know? No, I completely agree with that. And I think that's kind of how action movies were at the time. Like, they were very bright and exciting, and
there was a lot of wire.
They tried to they tried to get your blood pressure up by the excitement and not by the scare. Like, and if there was scares, it was cheap scares, like that elevator thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, a fine action movie, but not a good.
Not a good Resident Evil movie. So let's compare it to the video game. So the video game Resident Evil, how do you think it did as far as its dedication to the video game?
We've kind of gone in and out of this the whole time, but like basically the only mansion-y part of it was the beginning, and it was just like the facade basically for the entrance to
the underground.
And
lab.
I did thought it was kind of funny where they clearly filmed this somewhere in a city.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, we have to simulate underground like a city, or else
so we made this thing so it
no, you just didn't want to block out.
Yeah. You just didn't want to block out the city part of it. So all right.
But yeah, so like that was kind of weird. The dogs were good. The zombies were okay.
I just think inconsistent zombie behavior, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sometimes they were fast, sometimes they were slow, sometimes
generally,
they're like
pretty slow though. In
Resident Evil, it's like they're slow until they come back a few times. Yeah.
Or if they get closest to you, then they'll like start rushing.
Right. Yeah. But it's also like, I don't know. My feelings on zombies are like, it doesn't make any sense to have zombies that can move fast, because it's like, you know, because there's like, is it like Dawn of the Dead zombies? Is it like 28 Days Later zombies?
Which ones are the fast ones?
That's 28 Days Later zombies.
Yeah,
because that's like technically it's like
rage zombies.
Yeah, they're infected by a virus, so they're not dead. They're just infected. Whereas
they're rabid basically.
Yes. Whereas with like zombies, it's like technically they're dead. They have only gross motor function. They no longer have fine motor function.
Oh, and yeah, some of the science for all that they explained in that is super wrong.
It's just bonkers. Like, just so, and they're just like, now that it's ingested his DNA, it will transform. It's like, wait, what? So are the other zombies doing that? No.
Just this special guy.
Just this special boy. My very special boy with a very long tongue. Bleh. But yeah, so basically the only things that were the same were that the Umbrella Corporation was involved. The virus is called the T virus.
There was sort of a mansion for a hot second.
Yeah, and then there was the liquor.
And the dogs.
And the dogs. But you couldn't say that really. I mean, they looked similar to the dogs from it, but it's like you could have also done it without it being the dogs from Resident Evil. I don't think those are direct pull out from.
Sure.
But I guess
they looked like them, though.
They do. Them. They did.
It was like the type of dog, like I guess a Doberman.
A Doberman? A Doberman? Pinscher?
A Doberman.
That's what those dogs do. Those dogs go in there, they're just like, I'm gonna pinch you. I'm gonna pinch you. All right, so let's get into the numbers part. So, Chris, how do you think this movie did? Where do you think this placed?
Well, so I will say that I think this is a 3 to 3.5 out of 5.
Oh, we have
action movie.
Okay, gotcha.
But a 2 out of 5 Resident Evil movie.
Okay, got it.
Does that make sense?
It does. But we haven't given the whole movie a rating yet. We'll do that at the end. You haven't given. What do you think? Well,
or do I have to keep going?
No, I'm looking up the numbers. The numbers here.
Oh, those numbers.
These
numbers.
Numbers. So, movies that came out in 2002, this ranked 64th at the box office.
What are some of its
it was beaten by at 61 Blue Crush, 62 the Master of Disguise.
Oh, it was beaten by that.
It was beaten by that, and I Am Sam at 63. Its domestic gross box office was $40 million. It did beat Drumline.
Interesting.
Enough, Collateral Damage, Undercover Brother, 40 Days and 40 Nights, which is a pretty good vampire movie. The novels are very unsettling. I would definitely recommend watching those. But yeah, it was beaten, but it beat Drumline, which is important, you know. So yeah, it made $40 million domestically. And let's see, what was its budget? What was the budget for the movie? Let's see here. It was its estimated budget was $33 million, so technically not a flop. It made its money back, which was good.
Man, there were some bangers
in 2002. There were, if we look, I think we talked about this year before, because what was Spider-Man, Star Wars Episode 2, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, the best of the Lord of the Rings movies, in my opinion.
Signs, Goldmember, Men in Black 2. Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, that's a great movie. Minority Report. Oh, I love Minority Report. Lilo and Stitch. You know, Minority Report is one of my favorite science fiction movies, in that's how I want public transportation. Like, I think all transportation to work is just rail system. Everything is a rail system, no matter where you're going.
What about tubes?
Tubes could work, but that's the internet. The internet.
We'll travel in tubes.
It's a series of tubes. Mr. Deeds was ranked 19th that year. Amazing.
Man. Gangs of New York came out that year.
The Bourne Identity came out that year too. Black Hawk Down. Oh my gosh.
Oh, this says Drumline beat it.
What's this? What are you looking at?
Drumline was number 47.
I'm looking at the domestic box office.
Oh, I'm looking at full gross.
Stop looking at full gross. We look at domestic because we look at domestic box office. We look at the year it came out, because that's the only money that matters
is American money.
Is American money for American movies whenever they came out in that year. because I guess the whole movie itself made $100 million worldwide. But we use the ranking. We use domestic gross. That's how we do it, Chris.
Hero came out that year.
I love that movie.
I know, right?
It was so good.
28 Days Later came out. Reign of Fire.
Different zombie. See, arguably, like 28 Days Later came out. Better zombie movie. Like just a better zombie movie.
Overall, yeah.
If Resident Evil wasn't a video game movie, would not have been as good. Like it wouldn't have had the press, and I think that's what made it.
But it was a bad.
It was bad, but it doesn't matter because it's 2002. We also watched Hitman, and that wasn't even close to what the Hitman games were about. You know?
In a way, I think it had more to do with it than this did.
Not really, because he wasn't even being sneaky and doing sneaky. Because the whole Hitman games are about being.
He did some cool stuff. He did the bathroom thing.
That for 5 minutes. It should have been the whole movie. That kind of stuff.
That was probably longer than this. It was a Resident Evil.
Yeah, you're probably right. Great. So technically not a flop. Did make some money. It did okay in the year. Let's read. Let's do that. So, the soundtracks.
It was Marilyn Manson.
I was gonna say, it was like, I feel like, and it also had the song "Fist Fuck" written by Trent Reznor.
Of what's it called? Fame.
Oh, I don't remember. 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, there it is. Wall of Death torched my plague. But it's very like the music in 2000 action movies, like.
Honestly, it reminded me a little bit of the Doom soundtrack.
A little bit. But again,
it's
like,
a good thing.
I don't know if it should have been like that, you know?
No, it shouldn't have. But I liked it.
It was fun. Okay. So let's go into. So now, Chris, I want you to give the movie your definitive rating using our handy dandy Game Brew rating system.
I'm leaning more towards the. I'm gonna give it like a 2.5 out of 5, maybe a 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. What?
Remember,
you have to pick a thing. You can't just say numbers.
3 out of 5. Ridiculous hospital gowns.
Okay, great. I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 because I still think it had elements that made it good. I think that made it better than it wasn't terrible. Like it was still watchable, which was good. I don't think I had fun watching it, and it seemed longer than it was. But that being said, gonna give it 6. I changed it. 6 out of 10 zombie blood-covered zombie dogs trying to lick their blood skin off.
Where do you put it in our?
I was going to say, that's our new thing. So right now, for me, I guess I have the best movies we've watched. I've got Street Fighter, Doom, Hitman, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider at the bottom. I think I'm going to put this below Doom and above Hitman. This is like solidly in the middle of of things that we've done, because it's like it was okay. It was still not as good as Doom, but it suffered the same faults as Hitman, where it didn't take anything from it was just like, here's a movie, it has a plot, but let's make it this so we get this money for it, you know?
Yep. I'm gonna do the same thing. So my stuff's a little bit in a different order. So currently I'm Hitman, Street Fighter, Lara Croft, and then Doom. Doom was the worst.
I can't believe you think Doom was the worst movie that we've watched.
It just it was just so flat. I mean, Lara Croft was flat too. I don't know. Like Hitman kind of
Well, you've locked it in.
Did it
This
for
is
me.
it. But
yeah, so I Resident Evil was straight in the middle for me as well. I didn't quite enjoy it as much as Street Fighter. I definitely enjoyed it more than Lara Croft, though.
Okay, great. I still enjoyed Street Fighter. Was so great. I can't even. Great. Well, that's it. Those are definitive rankings for our terrible movies that we've watched. So now is the time you've all been waiting for, which is what movies will we watch the next time that we have a GameView podcast? As always, as is tradition, Rampage from 20.
I believe it's on HBO right
now. Is still on the board. Let's see what else we could watch. There was something.
I'm kind of intrigued by Dead or Alive.
We could watch the Dead or Alive movie.
Despite appearing on several lists of the worst films ever made.
Oh, no.
Dead or Alive is developed a cult following.
Oh, Jamie Presley's in this movie.
Yep. Matthew Marsden as well. And Kevin Nash.
And Devin Aoki?
Is that like Steve Aoki's brother?
No, she. Yes, actually.
Oh shit! That's awesome.
I think so.
That is true. That's awesome. She was in Sin City.
Yeah, she was in Sin City as Miho. She was in Too Fast, Too Furious as Suki. Man, I love Too Fast, Too Furious. If anyone ever wants,
she was in the ludicrous music video for "Act a Fool."
Yep, of course she was. Because you know why? Because that's the same year Too Fast, Too Furious came out, and he was also
he was also in it. Very nice.
So yeah, so those are our movies. If you have a preference, you can go over to the Discord at bit.ly/discobrew and vote for your favorite. I will post it there. So we will get the vote. So it is between Rampage from 2018. No. 2020. When's Rampage from? What year is that?
(2018).
2018. I should know. I've typed it in enough. Or Dead or Alive from 2006.
Those are both pretty bad.
I
have a feeling Dead or Alive is going to win.
Me too. And I'm really upset about the fact that we have to watch this. We're going to have to watch this movie.
And also probably are going to have to pay money to watch that movie.
Yeah, we're going to have to pay money to watch this terrible movie. Oh no, I'm seeing a preview for it right now.
Oh no. It's on Tubi because it's that bad.
Oh god, it is on Tubi. But I'm watching like the trailer for it on IMDb right now, and I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
It has a better average score on Metacritic, I think, than Resident Evil does.
Very interesting. Well, let's find out then.
Okay. No. Yes, it does.
It does. Okay. Well, we'll see if we have to watch it or not. So here's the time in the episode where we do the plugs. Of course, I'll plug the Discord. You can see all of our developments and things we talk about in the podcast there. Like the last episode of the podcast, we talked about a story that has since developed into insanity in regards to the Bayonetta 3 voice actress.
Oh my gosh!
It went from being like, oh hey, this sucks, to being like, oh my god, everything is.
Yeah, she's pretty cringy.
Bad. It's pretty terrible. Everything's pretty terrible right now. So yeah, follow that bit.ly/discobrew. Wow. bit.ly/discobrew. Allison isn't here tonight, but she should be streaming on her platform. I think she's finally all moved into her new place. So you can watch her channel. Usually she streams on Wednesdays, maybe more now that she's moved into a place where she possibly can. But that's That's twitch.tv/Vinalia, Vinalia. I still play games with my brothers every Thursday. Twitch.tv/TubeCraze, TubeCrazed. Chris, anything to plug?
Nope.
Pick something. Anything.
My fantasy team, which is terrible. Go my fantasy team.
What's their name? What's the name of your fantasy team?
So I haven't changed it for a while. It's the Joe Flacco Elites because he was elite that one time.
Oh, that one time? Yeah, I remember that one year whenever Joe Flacco
Yeah, that was 10 years ago, by the way.
Oh, no.
When we won the Super Bowl. Woo! That was a hell of a ride, though. Anyways, we're bad. It's great.
Oh, I'm going to plug the Phillies. Go Fightin' Phils World Series right now. 1-1.
1-1. They lost against...
they lost yesterday.
Houston.
Against the Houston Astros yesterday. But they won the first game. So now the games are going to Philly. So we'll see.
Ooh, nice.
We're pretty raucous up here.
Are you? Are you going to try to go to a game?
No. Are you kidding me? It's standing room only seats already. And tickets are like $800.
Oof.
The Diamond Club seats are going for $1,200 right now.
Oof.
So,
Octoberween just happened.
Nice. That's the thing to plug. If you're at James Madison University, go see you could have gone see the Tubas. It's too late now. But you could
go next year.
Also, Halloween's tomorrow. Eat candy. Give out candy to children if you have the capability. Maintain social distancing, though. My county put out a thing that was just like, hey, try and do individual baggies. And I'm like, yes.
Be better.
I was going to do that anyway. In fact, I'm actually giving Pokemon came out with like these little trick or trades things. It's like 3 Pokemon cards in a pack.
That's cool.
So I'm giving those out with some candy in little bags too.
Nice. That's awesome.
My neighborhood kids are going to get freaking spoiled. Take that.
Nice.
Great. I think that should be it for this episode of the GameView podcast. And on the GameView podcast, we don't have a sign off, so see ya, idiots.
Bye, dumb.